Install input shaft, guide sleeve, stop ring, gasket, 150212 bearing in turn. Knock on the bearing repeatedly with a copper stick to make it in right position. Finally, install input shaft nuts. Input shaft nuts are rotated left and coated with oxygen-preventing glue, then screwed down and fixed by a rivet. Unload high-speed windpipe, low-speed windpipe, pressure adjusting valve and 2 fixing bolts in the auxiliary case in turn. Remove 2 windpipe clamps and bolts. Knock out the rear cover assembly from the screw hole of the rear cover by 3 bolts and make the rear cover assembly separated from the main case housing. Then extract the rear cover with the hoop. Dismantle 2 fixing iron wire and remove the 6 hold bolts with a special tool. Remove the stop ring in the drive gear assembly by a screwdriver. Knock out the drive gear assembly with 3 bolts. Extract 14750 stop ring in the main shaft reverse gear and move forward the main shaft reverse gear. Remove the self-locking nuts and gaskets in reverse countershaft. Dismantle 42307E bearing with special tools. Set the dragging plate in 42307E bearing inner hole. Connect the fixing sleeve. Install special screw lever. Install the support seat. Take off 42307E bearing. Extract the rotating faucet from the reverse countershaft. Pull out the reverse countershaft with a shaft driver. Extract the reverse gear and stop gasket by hand. Remove the rear stop ring of right countershaft assembly with a snap ring pliers. Support the inner main shaft with a plier, then use a copper stick to knock on the bearing at the rear of countershaft assembly. First knock on outside of the bearing, then the inside and take it out. Unload front bolts and bearing baffle of countershaft assembly. Knock on the right countershaft from the front to the back with a stick, then knock on the left countershaft from the back to the front. Along the stop ring direction, install the special tool at the bearing in front of the countershaft, then wrench the screw lever and remove the bearing from the housing. Check the flexibility of bearing and make sure that it can be used again. Unload the brakes and move the right countershaft out. Move the whole main shaft assembly backwards. Pull out the shaft from the guide sleeve position, then lift up the front end and take it out wholly. Do not let the reverse gear apart from the climbing gear. Move the whole right countershaft assembly backwards and move the front end upwards in advance, then move it out wholly. Use the same way to dismantle the left countershaft. Dismantle them when necessary. Dismantling double H operating device. Loose the 2 fixed bolts of double H valve. Remove the valve. Dismantle the vent plug. Screw off reverse switch and copper gasket, then remove them. Screw off neutral switch and copper gasket, then remove them. Knock double H housing and take out the neutral and reverse cylinder pin. Loosen the fine screw. Dismantle the shift rocker and remove the dust-proof cover. Pull the double H housing horizontally, release the spring pressure cover, take out spring cover, spring and plunger in turn. Overturn double H housing, dismantle another spring cover, spring and plunger, check if the cylinder is overworn or not. Dismantle double H spring cover, take out the spring and spring seat. Knock out the bow-like shim from double H housing. Release the iron wire from shipped finger. Rotate double H housing and remove the cylinder pin from double H housing finger. Remove horizontal shift lever. Dismantle the spring cylinder pin from reverse control block. Take out the horizontal shift lever, reverse control block and shift finger. Remove the spring cylinder pin from the control block of horizontal lever. Dismantle lock-up bolt from double H housing. Take out the location ring, spring seat and spring. If necessary, remove the oil seal and bush together. Check the edge of oil seal and surface condition and spring. Remove the hex nut and filter center above. Remove the cover foundation, take out the pressure spring, piston and O-ring. Install piston spring gasket, screw down the cover seat. Push the head of hex nut downward and screw down the hex nut gently. Remove all locking iron wires and all location bolts. Draw out the reverse yoke shaft. Take out the reverse yoke. Draw out the 1, 2, 5, 6 speeds yoke shafts. Take out the 1, 2, 5 and 6 speeds yokes and guide blocks. The interlock pins in 1 and 2 and 6 speeds yoke shafts. Extract 3 and 4, 7 and 8 speed yoke shaft, then take out 3 and 4, 7 and 8 speed yoke and guide block. Take out 3 and 4, 7 and 8 speed yoke shaft. Overturn the top cover and take out the 2 interlock steel balls. Take out the locating distance ring, then extract the stop ring with a plier. Rotate the drive gear, support the drive gear with 2 50 cm high blocks, then use a copper stick to knock the bearing out from the drive gear. Check the cone surface, contact teeth, spline groove to see if they are worn out. Loosen the rim nut, take out the flange and odometer drive part. Release the 6 bolts in rear bearing cover, knock it gently and remove it. Release the 8 bolts in rear bearing cover with 2 weld shafts. Remove the 2 rear bearing covers. Release the 4 bolts linking the air cylinder and rear cover. Take out the 2 stop rings on the rear of the weld countershaft sub-assembly with caliper spring or other tools. Twist off the iron wire around the auxiliary case yoke. Release the 2 fine-tooth bolts. Knock and take out the air cylinder sub-assembly and auxiliary case yoke. Knock the rear of weld shaft sub-assembly. Remove the rear cover. Take out the weld sub-assembly. Knock and take out 192311 bearing. Dismantle the other weld sub-assembly by the same way. Knock the main shaft of auxiliary case from back and take it out. Knock and